A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin nabiyil ummi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa barik wa sallim. Surah Yusuf is the 12th surah of the Quran, and we are on verse number 104. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَمَا تَسْأَلُهُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. You do not ask them for anything in return, for this is but a message for all the worlds. So this is like a concluding sentence of what has been said earlier, that the people are not coming to believe. They do not come to believe. They do not accept the belief in God alone as the one God, and also as the prophet being, as his prophet sent by God. And also they do not believe that he receives revelation from God. So here he's being consoled by saying that you do not ask them for anything in return, for this is but a message for all the worlds. And in verse number 103, it had already been said, most of the people, no matter how much you desire, are not going to believe. That means the prophet's keenness and his desire and his wishes are not going to make people believe, even though he has to fulfill his mission to the best of his ability. And it is just that God in his infinite knowledge knows who are the people who are not going to believe. And some commentators keep on saying that God makes some people believe and he makes some people disbelieve, which I don't agree with, because God does not misguide people. He lets them choose their path because he has given human beings a choice. So now we can move on from here. Verse number 105. وَكَأَيٍّ مِّنْ آيَةٍ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ يَمُرُّونَ عَلَيْهَا وَهُمْ عَنْهَا مُعْرِضُونَ. So there are innumerable signs in the heavens and the earth which they pass by without taking notice. So the proofs or signs of God being the only creator, being the one God, the belief in monotheism is present in the signs in the heavens and the earth, that is in the signs of nature. So one encounters signs of the Creator's wisdom, power and oneness, but do not reflect upon the meaning of those signs, and nor do they learn a lesson from them. This has been stated by Allama Behzavi. This also refers to the past civilizations that, which they pass by without taking notice. There have been so many past civilizations who came earlier and left behind ruins. The remains were ruins from which those who came later were supposed to learn a lesson. But even those who came later did not do so. So many times in the Quran it is said, move around on the earth and see what happened to those who came before you. That is, go to the places where God had inflicted his punishment on those nations. And this has also been stated in Surah Ar-Raad, which is the 30th surah of the Quran, in the 9th verse. وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ بِاللَّهِ وَإِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ. They do not believe in God except while associating partners with him. That is, they can believe in God only as a partner along with the other gods which they have made themselves, but they do not believe in God being the only God. So they can't accept monotheism. So the Meccan idolaters took the name of God along with their idols. They could not talk of God alone. So also it is said that God-like desires, like the great desire for power or for wealth or for some idea or ideal that one has made, all these things, when a person makes these trivial desires into a god by blowing them up, by being obsessed by these, we have come across so many people who are just obsessed with the thought of collecting, accumulating wealth. Now it doesn't matter to them whether that wealth is earned honestly or dishonestly, whether it has hurt somebody on the way and it has broken a lot of laws, the laws of God as well as the law of the land. So it doesn't matter to them, because for them now the only main aim and object is to accumulate wealth. And also they say that if a person's ego gets inflated, he just thinks of himself. This is if you remember, Amaratum Bisu, the soul which incites to evil. And that is the ego. So if the ego is not controlled, then you do all these things. But if the ego is controlled, then one can move on to higher stations. Now, this is very interesting here, something I came across, that the Meccan idolaters had a different kind of talbiyah. You are aware of what the talbiyah is if you have gone for Umrah or for Hajj, especially Hajj. Then all along the way, once you have donned the ihram and you have come into the state of consecration, you have made your intention, then you keep reciting the talbiyah, labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, and so on. So this is a kind of answering God, saying, here I am, O Lord, here I am at your service. And the English translation I'll read out, here I am at your service, O Lord, here I am at your service. These words are repeated. You have no partners here, la sharika lak, here I am. To you alone is all praise and all excellence, and to you is all sovereignty. And there is no partner to you. So in the talbiyah, you are constantly emphasizing the fact that you do not believe any partners. But the mushrikeen, the idolaters, had added something to this talbiyah. When they went for Hajj, they also designed their own way of performing the Hajj, but also their talbiyah was different. They added this, there is no partner for you. Then they would say, but he is your partner, whom you have made your partner, and you are his Lord, and whatever he is the owner of, you are also its owner. So whatever the idol is owner of, God is also the owner. So they are making this big concession for God. So you see now, they just could not accept that only one God could do so many things. So they had a different God for every function. وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ بِاللَّهِ إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ. So we just did this. They do not believe in God except while associating partners with him. أَفَأَمِنُوا أَن تَأْتِيَهُمْ غَاشِيَةٌ مِّنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ أَوْ تَأْتِيَهُمُ السَّاعَةُ بَغْتَةً وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Have they become fearless of the fact that God's all-enveloping punishment might descend on them, or that the hour might approach them all of a sudden when they are unaware? So they have been warned so many times. All human beings have been warned time and again, and we also have been warned about this, that the Arabic is as-sa'a, which means the day of judgment, the day of resurrection. So have they become fearless? Either God's all-enveloping punishment might descend on them, like the punishment of the former nations when they were totally destroyed in one stroke, or that the hour might approach them. This is also the end of the reprieve that has been given to different nations and peoples when they might be unaware. That is, when the people are in a state of heedlessness, they are just enjoying their worldly pleasures, and then suddenly this hour might descend on them. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Say, now we know that when this imperative is used, say, it is addressed to the Prophet ﷺ mostly. And he is being asked to say this to the unbelievers. This is my path. I, as well as those who follow me, invite towards God on the basis of clear proof. Glory be to God, I am not of the polytheists. So those who follow me, this has been described explained by various commentators, that this includes those who will follow the Prophet until the day of judgment, and not only for people of his time, but for always. And of these, the highest in rank are the companions of the Prophet. This was stated by Hazrat Ibn Abbas, whose way was the best, that is, the way of the companions was the best, because they were the closest to the Prophet, and the guidance was excellent. They were a mine of knowledge, a treasure of faith, and they were the troops of the merciful. So this is an excellent description of the companions of the Prophet. So this is my path. I, as well as those who follow me, invite towards God on the basis of clear proof. Or for proof here, the Arabic word is basiratin. This can also mean insight. It can mean certainty. It can mean clear sight to distinguish between right and wrong, or haq and batil. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْقُرَىٰ فَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَيَنْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ وَلَدَارُ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. We did not send messengers before you, but men from among the habitations, to whom we sent revelation. Do they not travel in the land to see what became of those before them? That is, those who had similar views, who did not believe in God. The dwelling of the hereafter is better for those who are God-fearing. Do you not understand? You see, this is an answer to the arguments that the Meccan idolaters came up with. They used to say, why has not an angel been sent along with the prophet? He's saying he's been appointed by God. He's saying that he receives revelation from God, from heaven. So how come he doesn't have an angel accompanying him? So here this is an answer, to contradict them, that we did not send messengers before you but men. That is, all the messengers who came before the prophet were all human beings, they were men. From among the habitations. Now, some commentators have explained this, that the prophets were chosen from settled habitations and not the roaming nomads. We don't know of any prophet who was a nomad. Even though the prophets did have to travel a lot. Even Prophet Isa alayhi salam, Jesus traveled so much that sometimes people say that he never slept in the same bed twice. And all the prophets would travel, go from one city to another and would try to teach people what they had been sent with. So, and also they say that the town dwellers were more refined and they were more knowledgeable. Because, of course, as we say that, people in the villages do not have not come under the influence of the same civilization or culture as the town dwellers have. So here the question is being asked, do they not travel in the land to see what became of those who came before them? That is, those who were punished, the nations that were punished. The dwelling of the hereafter is better for those who are God-fearing. That is, those who are aware of God, they believe in God, they believe in the prophet, and they try to practice to the best of their ability. And for them, they know that the hereafter is better and it's everlasting. It's better for those who are God-fearing. So God-fearing is taqwa. We have read this word so often in the Quran. Here it is said, lillazina taqaw. That is, those people who fear God. So people who fear God does not mean that they just fear Him. It also means they love Him, they are aware of Him, and they do not just, verbally accept Him, but they also accept Him by showing everything in their actions. Whatever they do is based on the teaching they have received through the Prophet from God. Hatta iza stayasal rasulu wa zannu annahum qad kuzibu jahum nasruna fanujiya man nashau wa la yuraddu ba'sana anil qawmil mujrimin. When the messengers lost hope and the deniers thought they had been lied to, our help arrived. We saved whomsoever we pleased, for our punishment cannot be prevented from reaching the guilty. Now the unbelievers, when they had to wait so long, even the messengers sometimes lost hope when they had to wait so long for God's punishment to arrive. You remember how Hazrat Yunus alayhi salam, that is Jonah, was so upset and he lost hope and he just left his people and he went away. But then he was caught by God and he had to come back to his people. And ironically enough, this was the only nation in which the whole nation came to believe in the Prophet, and through him they came to believe in God. And this is the nation whose Prophet lost hope and left them. So when the messengers lost hope and the deniers thought they had been lied to, that is, those who were denying the Prophet, they thought that the Prophet had been lying to them, that the punishment would never come to them. Because if you read carefully, you'll keep on coming across this question that the unbelievers kept asking the prophets, Mata hazal wa'du in kuntum sadiqeen. That is, when will your promise be fulfilled if you are truthful? And what promise are they talking about? They're talking about the promise of the day of judgment, or they are talking about the promise of the punishment, the destructive punishment that came to the nations. Now, this was a very stupid question that they kept asking. When will your promise be fulfilled? Because once the promise is fulfilled, then there is absolutely no hope for anyone. Then they will not be able to go back. They will not be able to, correct their beliefs or their deeds. So our help arrived, and we saved whomever we pleased. Now, this is not just an arbitrary decision that we will save whomever we like, but the saving is according to the beliefs and deeds of the people. For our punishment cannot be prevented from reaching the guilty. And who are the guilty? The guilty are those who do not come to believe until their reprieve is over or until they see the signs of death. If they have seen the signs of death and then they say, I believe, then that belief will not be accepted. And the classic case is that of the Pharaoh, of Pharaoh, that when he started drowning, he said, I believe in the God of Musa and Harun. So that belief was not accepted, and he was told that it is too late. All right, now we are on verse number 111. That is the last verse of Surah Yusuf. لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ إِبْرَةٌ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ مَا كَانَ حَدِيثًا يُفْتَرَى وَلَكِنْ تَصْدِيقَ الَّذِي بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ وَتَفْصِيلَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. Indeed, in their stories is a lesson for those who understand. This book or this Quran is not fiction, but a confirmation of what was revealed earlier and an exposition of everything, and is a guide and a mercy for those who believe. So, in which stories are we talking about? Some say that the stories of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, of Joseph and his brothers, and the woman of the wife of the Aziz, the prime minister, you might say, and all the other women who sort of, sided with her. Now, in all these stories, or we can say all the stories of all the prophets, is a lesson for those who understand. And this Quran is not fiction. It has not been fabricated. Iftara is making up something on your own. So that is fiction. So this Quran is not fiction. It has not been fabricated, but is a confirmation of what was revealed earlier. And what was revealed earlier? Torah was revealed that we know of. There must have been more books, but we know about the Torah, which was revealed to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Moses, and the Injil, which was revealed to Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, that is Jesus. And also in the Bible you find the Psalms of David, that is the booklets that were the Psalms that were sent to Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam. Zubur, yes, that is known as Zubur. But they were a confirmation of what was revealed earlier and an exposition of everything, that is an elaboration of everything, and is a guide and a mercy for those who believe. So those who believe, or those who come to believe, or those who approach the Quran with a sincere heart and sincere mind, then it guides them. But if a person already has his mind made up and he just tries to find faults in the Quran, and that is the reason for his taking up the Quran and trying to read it, then of course if he wants to be misguided, then he will be misguided. And I think I have mentioned to you that there is a translation of the Quran which somehow has become very popular. And this was done by somebody called N.J. Dawood. But anyway, his name is a kind of a Muslim name. And Dawood, translation of the Quran by N.J. Dawood, that's right. So I happened to read the preface. One often tends to skip the preface, but I did read the preface, and in it he said that the arrangement of the verses of the Quran is faulty. So I have rearranged it correctly. This arrangement is only according to the size of the verses, but I have arranged it topic-wise. So he makes a mess of the arrangement. And then he also says in the preface that Prophet Muhammad thought that he was a prophet. So even though his name is Dawood, and one tends to think that he's a Muslim, but he is not. Much later I discovered that he was an Iraqi Jew. And the purpose of his reading and writing about the Quran was not sincere, and that is the reason why he had been misguided, and he was also trying to misguide other people. So this is a good point here, that the order of the verses of the Quran is also sacred, because that was also revealed to the Prophet. Now, when the Quran was being revealed, the chronological order, the time-wise order of the Quran is not the same as the arrangement here in the Quran, and this was also taught by the Prophet, and he was taught by inspiration, by revelation. So people who are spiritually inclined, whenever they recite the verses of the Quran, for example, in their salat, in their prayer, they try to keep the order as it appears in the Quran, and because that is a spiritual order and it also has its own benefits. We come to the end of Surah Yusuf, which was the 12th surah, and if there are any questions about it, then we can take them now. All right, it seems that there are no questions regarding this. Now we are going to study Surah number 13, which is Surah Ar-Raad, and the translation of this is thunder, the thunder that comes along with heavy rain. Now about its revelation, there is a discussion where actually it was revealed. So it seems that it was revealed partially in Makkah and partially in Medina. And in it are mentioned those signs of the oneness of God and of His being the all-knowing, all-powerful, which are evident in nature. So one is being asked in this surah to consider the signs in nature which show us that God is the greatest and He is only one. God's mercy is manifest in the fact that in spite of the challenge of the unbelievers to bring upon them retribution, He gives them respite. They kept on saying, when is just something we just discussed, when is your promise going to be fulfilled about the punishment? And God does not bring upon them the punishment at once because He is merciful. The concept of the survival of the fittest is mentioned here. This was, I think, mentioned. This is a theory of evolution of man put forward by Darwin in, I think, the 19th century. But the basic concept of the survival of the fittest is mentioned in the Quran, and also that life was created from water. And I read an article once which said that Darwin had a copy of the Quran in the collection of his books. So from that, he developed his theory further. Now, in this surah, the Prophet is told not to worry about the enmity of the unbelievers, for he has been given prophethood to guide to the true path. Those whose hearts are illumined by the light of the revelation are witnesses to his efforts on the path. The word Ar-Raad, meaning thunder, which gives the surah its title, occurs in verse number 13. Now, the people who did not come to believe in the Quran and in the Prophet, they admitted that the style and language of the Quran was very distinctive, but they opposed the three fundamental principles of the Quran. The first is the oneness of God, monotheism. Second is the day of judgment, which is, sort of establishes accountability. And third is revelation. For oneness of God, they would say, how could one God handle so much? And the second, about the day of judgment, they said, how can dead bones and dead bodies be raised again? How can they become alive again? And the third was the revelation that was sent to the prophets. And when you believe in the prophet, you believe in the revelation. Of course, if you believe in the revelation, that is the book, then you believe in the prophet. So believing in the prophets was also one of the three fundamentals of the faith. And the answers to these questions or objections are given here. And this surah also draws attention to many of the wonders of the natural world. And they're all dependent upon God for their subsistence. This is mentioned in verses number 2 to 4. And the mention of in verse number 13 mentions that the thunder partakes in the glorification of God. Yusabbihu Ar-Raadu bihamdihi wal malaikatu min khifatihi. So that means when the thunder, we hear the thunder, that is also a glorification of God. Also, the parable of water from the sky illustrates the difference between truth and falsehood. This is also one of the 6 surahs which begin with Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra. The huruf muqatta'at, or the separate letters, they are Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra in these 6 surahs, beginning with the 10th surah, which was Surah Yunus. I think we can start reading this now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra. Tilka ayatul kitab. وَالَّذِي أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ الْحَقُّ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra. Of course, we know these are the huruf muqatta'at, but some people have tried to give them a meaning. Even Hazrat Ibn Abbas, it is said, he said that these letters mean, indeed, God is the Malik, that is the King, the Merciful, and Ar-Rahman. He translated it as Anallahul Malik Ar-Rahman. So, but since we were not given since the Prophet did not explain these huruf, I think it's better to stay away from these meanings. Tilka ayatul kitab wallazi unzila alayka min rabbikal haqqu walakinna aksar nasi la yu'minun. So these are the verses of the book, that which has been revealed to you by your Lord. Revealed to you, that is to Prophet Muhammad and is the truth, but most people do not believe this. Since it has been revealed to you by your Lord, it has to be the truth. But most people do not believe is because they do not want to believe. Because if they believe, they will have to discipline themselves. They will have to give up some of the pleasures they have got used to. So that's why they don't want to believe in it. Allahu allazi rafa'a as-samawati بغير أمد ترونها ثم استوى على العرش وسخر الشمس والقمر كل يجري لأجل مسمى يدبر الأمر يفصل الآيات لعلكم بلقاء ربكم توقنون. God is the one who raised the skies as you see them without pillars. Now this has also been explained as you can say that the sky has been built without pillars, or you can say that there are pillars which are not visible to you. You cannot see them. They are invisible pillars. That means there is some force which is holding the skies up. Then God established himself on the throne. So after he had made the earth and everything in it as he wanted to, then he established himself on the throne and made the sun and the moon obedient. Now these great stars and galaxies and all these things, just mind-boggling how much there is in the skies. All these have been made obedient to God. So he sustains the entire cosmic system or order, stated by Hazrat Allama Razi, which is perfect and has harmony, and deep reflection upon it leads one to believe in God. So every unit of the cosmic system follows obediently the course that has been set out for it. When they say, to the knowledge that we have now, 20 trillion galaxies, and each galaxy has innumerable stars or planets or whatever there are in our universe. And I think as people advance in their knowledge, I think they will discover that there are even more than 20 trillion. And this is like a conservative estimate. So every unit in a galaxy moves obediently in its orbit with not a fraction of seconds difference. If there was even a fraction of a second's difference in their movement, they're all moving all the time. What is making them move, and what is making them move so perfectly, perfect timing? And if there was a difference of even a fraction of a second, then the whole system would collapse. They would just hit each other and get destroyed. So the one who can do all this, can he not recreate on the day of resurrection? And also, if you think about it, the sun and the moon are so obedient that one can find the exact time of the prayers worked out for a whole year. And you might have seen some calendars in which they give you the time of each prayer for a whole year. And this calendar is good for every year. It does not change with the years. So it's sort of like it's good for ever and ever. So how do we get to this perfect awareness of this perfect timing? That is because of the perfect timing of the sun and the moon. Okay. So there are some pillars which we cannot see, and the sun and the moon are obedient, and all the other planets and the galaxies and everything in the universe is obedient and is moving according to a certain system. And each is moving for a fixed time. That is, they will keep moving for a fixed time, after which they will be destroyed. That is on the day of judgment. He determines every affair and explicates the sign that you might come to believe firmly in the meeting with your Lord. So God has determined, or he has planned, what is the word for it? Yudabbirul amra yufassilul ayate la'allakum biliqa'i rabbikum tuqinun. So he has determined or planned every affair, yudabbiru, and he explicates the signs. He explains them in detail so that you might come to believe firmly in what? In the meeting with your Lord. So this is very important. The most important thing that we should believe in is the meeting with our Lord. And that is the day of accountability. And we have to prepare in this life, we have to prepare so that on that day, It's like, this world is, we are preparing for an exam, and on that day, we will have to give our answers. So it's important that we are able to pass in that exam. The very highly elevated, spiritually elevated Sufi saints say that they believe that for them, even paradise and all these things that that people will be rewarded with, or even hurs, they are not important to them. The most important for them is the meeting with their Lord. And it's also the reason why some of these buzurgs, these sheikhs, when they die in this world, no one refers to them as dying, but the word visal is used, which means as the meeting. So they have gone to meet their Creator. وَهُوَ الَّذِي مَدَّ الْأَرْضَ وَجَعَلَ فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ وَأَنْهَارًا وَمِنْ كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ جَعَلَ فِيهَا زَوْجَيْنِ اثْنَيْنِ يُغْشِي اللَّيْلَ النَّهَارَ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. He is the one who spread out the earth and made in it hills and rivers, and in every fruit tree he made pears. He covers the night with the day. Indeed, in this are signs for those who ponder, those who reflect. So the one who madda larda, that is, he spread out the earth. Now, some people from this, they have, tried to believe that this sentence means that the earth is flat because it was spread out. But this is not true, because it's only that as far as you can see, the earth seems to be flat. Imam Razi wrote in 601, Al-Hijri, that the earth is round and there is no reason to doubt it. This he has written in his Tafsir al-Kabir, and that was the 12th century CE. And God made water to flow out of hard rocks. These are some of the signs that we are talking about. And he made in it hills and rivers. So there are these hard rocks that the hills are made of, and from them this soft water is flowing out. And also, so much of treasure has been hidden in the rocks. For example, coal is found in these mines, in the rocks, minerals, copper, iron, gold, and so many other things. And also sometimes from the rocks which are so hard and are thousands of feet high, water flows onto the plains, forming rivers and taking this river to all the different places where it's needed. Also, it is said that he made in every fruit tree, he made pears. He covers the night with the day, and indeed these are signs for those who ponder. So in every fruit tree there are pears. How is that? This is because they are both the genders, even in the plant kingdom. Yes, both genders. For example, in the cotton plant, you find that the same plant has both the genders. But there are separate flowers of the same plant. Example, in the pumpkin. In the pumpkin plant, it's not a tree, you find, and also squash and etc. and gourds of the same kind, you find that there are separate flowers of the two genders, and they are pollinated, and then they produce the fruit. Then there are some plants which are unisexual plants. For example, the date palm. Every plant does not have both the genders, but has only one. And also the papaya. So this has to be pollinated by artificial means. If they have not been pollinated naturally, then you have to pollinate them. Point that one has to think about is that it is the same earth, same water, but the variety of fruits, and even in the same variety, there are so many differences. You could find, for example, mangoes, hundreds of varieties of mangoes, even dates, innumerable varieties of dates, and they are growing in the same place with the same conditions. وَفِي الْأَرْضِ قِطَعٌ مُتَجَاوِرَاتٌ وَجَنَّاتٌ مِنْ أَعْنَابٍ وَزَرْعٌ وَنَخِيلٌ سِنْوَانٌ وَغَيْرُ سِنْوَانٍ يُسْقَى بِمَاءٍ وَاحِدٍ وَنُفَضِّلُ بَعْضَهَا عَلَى بَعْضٍ فِي الْأُكُلِ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ. So, and in the earth are tracts lying close together, and orchards of grapes, and farmlands, and date trees, some forming one trunk and others branching into various trunks, all sharing the same water. So also there are some trees which keep sprouting, from the roots. Another tree will sprout up, then another tree will sprout up. So there are some which have one trunk, and others keep branching out into various trunks, and they all being nourished by the same water. Yet we make some fruit more tasteful than others. Indeed, in this are signs for those who understand. So we just notice that in verses 2 to 4, there is a list of all the ayah or signs of the greatness and oneness of God. And reflecting on them strengthens one's faith. And these are also an argument for a single creator, because if there had been many creators, then there would have been some commotion. Now we are on verse number 5 in Surah Ar-Raad. وَإِن تَعْجَبْ فَعَجَبٌ قَوْلُهُمْ أَإِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا أَإِنَّا لَفِي خَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَأُولَٰئِكَ أَغْلَالٌ فِي أَعْنَاقِهِمْ وَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. If you are surprised by their statements, then equally surprising is their question. When we are dead and turn to dust, are we going to be created anew? So this is a constant, this question is repeated over and over again by all the unbelievers. They are the ones who denied their Lord and will have carcans around their necks. Carcans is like it was actually a punishment in the old days. It was a metal collar, a very tight and a sort of a collar which was a bit longer than one's neck, so that one could not move one's neck while that collar was on, and some people were given this punishment. So these are the people, the ones who are denying God. They will have carcans around their necks, that is, after the judgment has been passed against them, and they are the dwellers of the fire and will abide in it forever. Carcans has also been mentioned in Surah Yasin, verse number 8. So resurrection and accountability are a manifestation actually of God's justice. So how is it a manifestation of His justice and His mercy? Because the one who suffered on the path of truth and justice in this world should be rewarded. There is a person who is struggling to keep on the right path, to speak the truth, not to take any bribery, and not to spread any kind of corruption. But he is being punished. He is being persecuted. So if speaking for the truth gives you punishment in this world, then there should be another place where that person is rewarded. And therefore, God will reward that person in the next world if he doesn't get any reward in this. But very often, the reward will be in both the worlds. And also, on the other hand, the one who was unjust and also disobedient to God needs to be punished. And this is the logic of the Day of Judgment. It is punishing the unjust and rewarding the just. وَيَسْتَعْجِلُونَكَ بِالسَّيِّئَةِ قَبْلَ الْحَسَنَةِ وَقَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمُ الْمَثُلَاتُ وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَذُو مَغْفِرَةٍ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى ظُلْمِهِمْ وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَشَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. They ask you to hasten the evil before they ask for the good, even though many exemplary punishments have been meted out before them. Indeed, your Lord is full of forgiveness for people in spite of their injustice, and your Lord is also severe in punishment. So how are they trying to hasten the evil before they ask for the good? Is that even before they have asked God for His mercy, they are saying, bring on the punishment. So they don't realize that once the punishment sets in, that will be the end of them. So they asked you to hasten the evil, that is the punishment, before they ask for the good, that is mercy or reward, even though many exemplary punishments have been meted out before, that is to the older nations, the past nations before them. Indeed, your Lord is full of forgiveness for people. So when does God forgive? When the respite is not over. He gives you a long time. Even the people are saying, bring on the punishment, and God is not punishing them. So He is being patient and He waits for people to ask for forgiveness, for astaghfar. So He's full of forgiveness for people in spite of their injustice. And what is the injustice that people are committing? That is disbelief and disobedience. But God is not quick to punish them. It is said that the Makkans of Kaaba used to pray. Those who did not believe and those who did not want to believe, they held the cover of the Kaaba, the Ghalaf Kaaba, and they would say, they would pray to God, if this book is the truth and from you, then send upon us a rain of stones. But even then, God did not send upon them a rain of stones. God was very patient and merciful. So this needs a lot of courage to make a prayer like that, asking for punishment to be sent to you. But they did not really believe in it. If they had believed that, such a punishment can come, then they would not have prayed like this. وَيَقُولُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَوْلَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْهِ آيَةٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُنذِرٌ وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ. Those who deny say, why was not a sign sent down to him from his Lord? You are but a warner and a guide for every nation. So those people who deny the belief in God and the Prophet and all that the Prophet taught, they say, why was not a sign sent down to him from his Lord? By sign here is meant a miracle. When there are so many signs of God. There's the signs in nature that we have been talking about. Then the Prophet is also a sign. The revelation that he receives is a sign. The miracles that the prophets show are a sign. And all the verses of the Quran that we read, there are signs of God's oneness in it, and that is why they're called the ayat. And here also the word is ayatun, about the sign sent down to him. Why was not a sign sent down to him from his Lord? So even though Prophet Muhammad's miracles are found interspersed in the Quran, the Hadith, and in the authentic biographies, yet he did not use miracles the way other prophets did. Because this was the stage in human development when human beings were expected to use logic and scientific reasoning in order to believe in God, and not to be overawed only by miracles. In spite of that, the Prophet did show some miracles when they insisted, like the breaking of the moon into two just by the movement of his finger. And the very fact that the Quran has survived for more than 14 centuries without any corruption, and that such learned and beautiful language as well as wisdom came from an unlettered person, proves that it is a living miracle. So the Quran is the Prophet's greatest living miracle. Once somebody said to me, but this was done by God. Well, all the miracles are actually performed by God through his Prophet in order to make people believe that this person is doing something or teaching something which is not from a creation of his own mind, but he is saying something that has been sent to him by God. The vast difference, also another point that I have noticed, is that the vast difference in the language of the Quran and the Hadith, even though uttered by the same person, also shows that the Quran is a miracle. And we also know that the Quranic language has a great deal of memorability. Even people who don't know the language are memorizing the whole book, the whole Quran. That's not, you can't do this with any other language. Once somebody said to me that, they just make people learn the Quran by heart. So I said, well, can you learn, this person knew French, and I said, can you learn a whole big book of French by heart? And of course, he had no answer. So all these little things which we come across every day, these are also miracles. They are signs of God. Besides the signs that the Prophet was, for example, they were traveling and they camped in a place where there was a well, but they found after camping that there was no water in the well. So the Prophet gave them his arrow. And when they stuck the arrow at the bottom of the well started bubbling. And this is just one little thing that I've mentioned. There are so many others. So they kept saying, why doesn't he show us a sign? But then in another place in the Quran, it is said that even if he showed them the signs, they would not believe. And this is what happened when the moon was broken into two. Even then, people did not believe. And also the other prophets, like Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, the Pharaoh saw the miracles, but he did not believe. His courtiers saw the miracles, but they did not come to believe. So they are doing this just for the sake of simply for an argument. You are but a warner and a guide for every nation. The Prophet ﷺ is being told that his work is to warn people. The word is Nazir. Anta munzirun, that is, you are a Nazir. You have to warn people. And a Nazir is a person who warns people well in time. So he's supposed to warn them, and he's a guide for every nation. Now, since he's the last prophet, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is a guide for every nation, not just his own till the end of time. So this establishes the universality of his message, because his message is not just for the Arabs or not just for the people who have already come to believe, but it is for the whole world. It's a universal message. And this verse can also mean that it can also be interpreted to mean, or it can also be translated as that every nation was sent a prophet or a guide. And see, I'll read that Arabic again. Innama anta munzirun wa likulli qawmin had. Wa likulli qawmin had. That is, every nation had a guide or a prophet. Prophet is a guide. And it can also be translated as that you, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, has been sent as a guide to every nation. Both the meanings have been accepted by the scholars. And Ibn Abbas also adds here that the Prophet is only a warner or a nazir, and while the true guide is God himself. I think we've come to verse number 8 now. Allahu ya'lamu ma tahmilu kullu unsa ma taghidul arhamu wa ma tazdad wa kullu shayin indahu bimiqdar. God is well aware of what every female bears and whatever is reduced or increased by the wombs. And everything is measured in his estimate. Whatever is reduced or increased in the womb is supposed to mean that the period of gestation or the development of the embryo in each womb might be different, or this might be shortened or increased. And sometimes some commentators have also said that the word وَمَا تَغِيدُ الْأَرْحَامُ, that the word taghid means the abortive fetus. That means if the fetus is aborted, then of course the term will be reduced. And he said, Muhammad also said that this applies to a fetus which was just 7 months old. So anyway, God knows, it just means that God knows all the hidden and secret. He has all the hidden knowledge which no one else has. And everything is measured in his estimate. So everything is created according to a calculation and a balance, and according to the purpose for which that was created. For example, these days they're talking about, I think I heard someone say that 20,000 varieties of creation, like insects and small things, they are being, instinct. They're becoming instinct. 20,000 different creatures are becoming extinct every year or every month. I'm not sure about that. But if they are being obliterated at such a great speed, then there will come a time when the balance in the world will be displaced, will be upset. The balance will become imbalanced. So every little creature that God has created serves a purpose. In China, they found that there were some birds which used to come and eat away their harvest. So they can accomplish a lot of very difficult things. So they killed all those birds. And when they killed the birds, they found that it became even worse. And the insects that the birds used to eat, they started, just eating up the whole harvest. So there is some kind of a balance in the universe. So everything is measured in his estimate. And that is the reason why we find that when we go to a place in which there is nothing man-made, you go out into the hills and such places where there's a river running by, you find so much peace there, because everything has a balance and it has harmony in it. There is no disharmony. So this is the reason why there is peace in such places. Alim al-ghaybi wa shahadatil kabirul muta'al. He is the knower of the unknown as well as of the known, the great, the exalted. So muta'al, it is said, this word has been used only once in the Quran. And it means that God is above everything else. And it also means that the one who is above everything and everything else is below him. This has been stated by Allama Qurtubi. And also it means that he knows the workings of the soul even before birth, or the innermost disposition of every human being. When he knows everything, then he knows even the workings of the soul. Whatever the person has in his mind or heart or soul, he's not expressing it, but God is aware of it. But one of his signs of mercy is that we are not accountable for our thoughts. So because sometimes you cannot control your thoughts and you start thinking all kinds of wrong things, and you will not be held accountable for those thoughts. Only when one starts talking about those wrong ideas or thoughts, or when one starts acting upon them, then one will be held accountable. Now we're on the 10th verse of Surah Ar-Raad. Sawa'un minkum min asarra al-qawla wa man jahara bihi wa man huwa mustaqfim bil-layli wa saribun bin-nahar. You are all equal, the one who speaks softly as well as the one who speaks out aloud, and the one who hides at night and the one who walks around openly during the day. So God knows everyone equally well. Whether somebody is announcing his thoughts and talking about, some people talk a lot, they can't keep a secret and they, just talk about everything that comes to their mind. So God, of course, everyone can hear what they're saying, but God also knows about people who are either talking softly or who are keeping something in their mind and heart. And it is also said that self-scrutiny is needed in one's thoughts, words and deeds. So one should also, even though it is difficult, but one has been advised to even try to control one's thoughts from going astray, going in the wrong direction. And Hazrat Umar, the second Khalifa, he said, take yourselves to account before you are taken into account. That is, do your own accountability. See what I'm doing wrong and what I shouldn't do. And then you, on the day of judgment, when you are taken into account, then you will have a good record. وَمَنْ هُوَ مُسْتَخْفٍ بِاللَّيْلِ وَسَارِبٌ النَّهَارِ. That means saribun has been explained as one who openly commits evil deeds. Now there are some people who are not ashamed. They don't want to hide their evil deeds and they talk about them and they commit evil deeds in the open in front of everyone. And there are people who hide at night and do what they are not supposed to do. So all these people and all their deeds are known to God. No one can hide anything from Him. So today we have managed to reach our destination or our target, that is of verse 10 of Surah 13, Thunder, Ar-Raad. Inshallah, we will continue from Surah Thunder, Raad, verse number 11. If there are any questions, we can quickly take them. The question was that the 12 tribes that have been mentioned, even in Surah Al-Baqarah they have been mentioned, were they the tribes developed from their forefather very often, and they also had carried the name of their forefather. So the 12 tribes of the Bani Israelis that are mentioned in the Quran, they came from the 12 sons of Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, that is Jacob. And 10 of them were the stepbrothers of Hazrat Yusuf, and 2 I think came from Hazrat Yusuf and his son. I'm not exactly sure about that. Next time I can confirm it for you. All right, no more questions. So let's say our prayer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين ثم آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى آمين. And may your every tomorrow be better than every today. Ameen summa ameen. Thank you everyone for joining us, and inshallah we'll see you next week. Allah Hafiz.